My name is Maya Vance. At 27, I'd mastered the art of functioning on coffee and dynamic exhaustion, a necessary skill for a veterinary technician working the overnight emergency shift. I walked in at 8 a.m., my scrubs still clinging to me, smells of antiseptic and bleach in my nose. The house smelled different: maple syrup, sour milk, and underlying chaos. My mother, Eleanor, met me at the kitchen island, holding a juice box in each hand, her wrist weighed down by a diaper bag. Across the room, my sister Chloe's twin boys, Leo and Sam, were gleefully rubbing oatmeal into the upholstery of the armchair I'd spent 2 hours deep cleaning on my last day off. "It's time we talk about rent," Eleanor said. She didn't whisper it, she stated it for the entire room, including Chloe, who was scrolling her phone nearby. "If you live under this roof, Maya, you need to contribute like an adult." I stared at her, then at the screaming television, then at the sticky disaster zone that used to be a calm living room. For 4 years, I'd been the live-in, unpaid infrastructure for this family, covering childcare, cleaning, and emotional labor while working 40-hour weeks. Chloe didn't even look up from her screen. "Mom should have charged you years ago. Honestly, you act like being part of this family is some terrible burden." Something inside me went utterly, profoundly still. It wasn't anger. Anger requires energy I didn't have. It was a cold crystallization of truth. They didn't see me as a person. I was just a utility, the backup generator they forgot about until the power went out. I nodded once, set my keys on the counter, walked to the hall closet, and pulled out the duffel bag I'd secretly kept packed for 6 months. I zipped it shut, the sound sharp in the sudden quiet. I checked into a roadside motel 3 exits away, paying for 3 nights in cash. The air conditioner rattled like a jar of loose coins, but the silence inside that room felt expensive, a luxury I hadn't realized I was being denied. I turned my phone face down, took a shower so long the mirror vanished in steam, and crawled into a bed that didn't smell like laundry I hadn't finished or children I hadn't birthed. For the first time in years, my sleep wasn't negotiable. The next day, I found a tiny apartment above a florist shop in West Ashley. It had creaky floors and a balcony barely wide enough for a single chair, but it smelled of lilies and fresh paint. When the manager apologized for the small closets, I almost laughed. I didn't need space for their lives anymore, just my own. I signed the lease before my nerves could catch up to my resolve. That night, sitting on the floor with Thai takeout, I finally turned my phone on. Nearly 50 missed calls. Dozens of unopened texts. I answered a video call from my mother, and the screen exploded with chaos. One twin was screaming. The kitchen behind her looked like a war zone. "Look at this, Maya," Chloe snapped, shoving her face into the frame. "Mom had to miss work because I had a closing. This house is a wreck. You're being incredibly selfish." I looked at the pile of dishes and the laundry spilling across the floor. "No," I said, my voice steadier than I felt. "This is just what the house looks like when I stop holding it together." The silence that followed was heavy and final. I didn't stop at moving out. I spent the next hour removing my name from everything: emergency contact lists, grocery accounts, and the twins' school pickup authorization. I wasn't being cruel. I was correcting a mistake. I was no longer the unpaid infrastructure of their lives. A week later, Chloe met me for coffee. She looked haggard, her hair in a messy knot. "I didn't realize how much you did," she admitted. "I lost a client yesterday because I had to leave a showing for a diaper emergency. Mom's work is threatening to cut her hours." She slid a check across the table for past groceries. It was the first time my labor had been acknowledged as work instead of a daughter's duty. I visited the house once more to collect my remaining boxes. It was messy, loud, and imperfect. My mother pulled me aside, her eyes welling. "I was wrong, Maya," she whispered. "I made your usefulness your only value here." I didn't hug her back. I loved them, but I loved my new peace more. I stayed for 20 minutes, then walked back to my car. As I drove toward my apartment over the shop, the air felt light. I learned walking away isn't an act of anger, it's a lesson. It teaches people what your presence was worth. My life was no longer a solution to someone else's problem. I was finally my own person, living a life that didn't require me to disappear for others to thrive.